You're on a channel dedicated to sci-fi horror, creepy, mysterious, and thrilling stories. Today, we have a book from horrorstories.app, a platform filled with terrifying and awesome sci-fi tales. Check out the link in the description. There's plenty to read and listen to. Now get comfortable. Here's a story that won't let you sleep.
The glass plains stretched endlessly behind them, a haunting reflection of the crew's growing desperation as they ventured deeper into the planet's subterranean maw. Dr. Elena Vasquez forced herself to focus on her breathing, steadying the rhythm that threatened to sync with the faint, pervasive hum beneath her feet. Each step into the mirthless forest set her teeth on edge. The data tablet strapped to her wrist glowed faintly, an anchor against the oppressive dark. The air grew heavier the farther they descended, laden with spores that shimmered faintly in the dim, fractured light. The forest ahead loomed like the remains of some alien nightmare. Metallic trees with twisting, sinuous branches hummed faintly, their translucent leaves refracting the weak, bioluminescent glow into kaleidoscopic patterns that disoriented more than illuminated. Elena broke the uneasy silence. "The trees are part of it," she said, her voice low but precise as she scanned the faint energy readings pulsing across her screen. "The Hive's sensory network extends even here. It's watching us, listening." "Of course it is," Jenna Park muttered, her mechanical arm twitching sporadically at her side. She clutched a repair kit in her other hand, her knuckles white, but didn't look at Elena. "It's like walking into a trap we can all see coming." "It is a trap," Captain Aaron Malik said quietly, his voice carrying a calm authority that barely masked his own unease. His flashlight swept across the grove, the beam slicing through the murky, spore-laden air. The metallic tang of the environment pressed against their senses like a physical weight. "But if the Hive's central systems run through this forest, we have no choice but to figure out how to disrupt them." Tom Carter, walking slightly ahead, turned with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "No pressure, right? Just find the right switch on the giant alien brain forest thing and flip it." He gestured vaguely at the pulsating roots crisscrossing the uneven ground, but his usual humor sounded hollow, forced. "Enough," Malik snapped, though the strain in his voice betrayed his own mounting tension. "Eyes sharp, stay close." Elena tuned out their exchange, focusing on the rhythmic hum that seemed to rise from the ground itself. Her tablet picked up erratic shifts in the patterns, layered and unpredictable as though the Hive were adapting to their presence in real time. A shiver ran down her spine when she realized the vibrations weren't just syncing with her heartbeat, they were beginning to anticipate it. The group reached the edge of the forest proper, where the metallic trunks grew denser, their twisted, skeletal branches stretching upward into an unseen ceiling like grasping hands. The distortion of sound became more pronounced here. Elena's boots crunched loudly against the ground, but Malik's steps behind her seemed unnaturally muffled. When Jenna spoke, her words elongated and warped before snapping back into sharp coherence. "Elena," Jenna said tersely, her tone betraying an edge of panic. "You seeing this?" Elena looked up from her tablet and followed Jenna's gaze. The leaves of the nearest tree shimmered like liquid glass, reflecting distorted images of the crew. No, reflecting wasn't the right word. The figures in the leaves moved independently, jerking unnaturally. Elena saw herself, but not herself. Her distorted twin stared back with hollow eyes and a crooked, predatory smile. It extended a hand in a gesture she hadn't made. "It's trying to confuse us," Elena said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Don't trust what you see or hear," Malik added, his hand tightening on the grip of his weapon. His sharp gaze cut through the dim light, constantly scanning for threats even as the air itself seemed to pulse with life. No one wanders off, understood? The warning came too late. Tom, restless as always, had edged ahead despite Malik's orders. His flashlight beam landed on a humanoid figure slumped against one of the metallic trunks. He froze, his voice tight. Guys, you might want to see this." Malik swore under his breath and motioned for them to follow, their steps tentative and weapons raised. As they approached, the figure became clearer. It was humanoid but wrong. Its proportions were off, limbs too long, head tilted at an unnatural angle. Its skin gleamed faintly like wet stone, and its face, Elena's stomach churned. Its face was Jenna's, almost Jenna's. The features were subtly misaligned, the expression slack and lifeless. Jenna staggered back, her mechanical arm jerking violently. "What the hell is that?" "A hybrid," Elena said, swallowing hard. She forced herself closer, her tablet trembling in her hands as chaotic energy readings spiked across the screen. "The HIVE is trying to replicate us, but it's incomplete. It's still learning." The hybrid's head snapped up, glassy eyes locking onto Jenna with unnerving precision. Its lips moved, emitting a garbled mimicry of Jenna's voice, distorted, fragmented, and impossibly wrong. Jenna's breathing quickened, her voice cracking. "That's not me. That's not me." "No, it's not," Malik said firmly, stepping between her and the creature. He raised his weapon, his stance protective. "But it's close enough to be dangerous." Before he could fire, the hybrid lunged. Its limbs jerked unnaturally, like a marionette pulled by invisible strings, but its speed was monstrous. It reached for Jenna, its glassy fingers outstretched. Jenna reacted instinctively, swinging her mechanical arm upward. The metallic clang echoed through the suffocating air as her arm struck the hybrid's malformed face. The creature staggered, its head twisting unnaturally before its body convulsed in spasms. It collapsed to the ground, twitching as if struggling to hold itself together. The group stood frozen, the oppressive hum of the forest filling the silence. Finally, Malik lowered his weapon. "Everyone okay?" Jenna nodded shakily, though her arm continued to jerk uncontrollably. "I'm fine, just startled." Elena knelt beside the hybrid's remains, her scanner working furiously. The readings were chaotic, overlapping waves of organic and mechanical signals. "It's adapting," she muttered, her voice barely audible. "Every move we make, every sound we utter, it's learning." Malik's jaw clenched. "Then we move. Now." They pressed deeper into the forest, each step heavier than the last. The translucent leaves above shimmered and shifted, casting fragmented reflections that seemed to move just out of sync with reality. Elena couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, not just by the HIVE, but by something immediate and malevolent. The distorted images in the leaves followed her, their hollow eyes boring into her back. Her fear crystallized when another figure stepped out from the shadows ahead. This one was unmistakable. It was her. The hybrid Elena stood tall and still, its expression unnervingly placid. Its dark curls and the Chilean flag patch on its jumpsuit were perfect replicas. But its eyes gave it away, soulless, empty, and brimming with cold malice. "Elena," it said, its voice a flawless echo of her own. "You should have stayed away." Her throat tightened. For an eternal moment she couldn't move. The hybrid's lips curved into a cruel smile as it took a deliberate step closer. "Your curiosity will kill them all," it said. "Elena," Malik's voice cut through her paralysis. "Don't listen, it's not you." "I know," she said hoarsely, though her hands trembled. Her past mistakes surged to the forefront of her mind. the warning she hadn't been able to make them heed, the lives lost because of it. The hybrid tilted its head, its smile widening. "It wasn't your fault," it said, its tone almost gentle, "but you'll fail them too, just like before." "Shut up," Elena hissed, bile rising in her throat. "You don't know anything." "I know you," the hybrid murmured. "You're just like me." Before she could react, Malik fired. The hybrid disintegrated in a burst of light and shards, its remains scattering like ash. The echoes of the shot lingered briefly before the forest's hum swallowed them whole. "Move," Malik ordered, his voice tight. "Now." The group broke into a tense jog, their breaths loud and ragged. The forest seemed to close in around them, the whispering leaves growing louder, sharper, accusing. Elena forced herself to focus, her every step a defiance of the hive's relentless intrusion. When they finally emerged into a clearing, the hum subsided slightly, but the reprieve was fleeting. A guttural roar echoed through the tunnels behind them, followed by the unmistakable sound of pursuit. Tom stepped forward, his jaw set with grim determination. "Go," he said, his voice steady. "I'll hold them off." "Tom," Malik began, but Tom cut him off with a sharp shake of his head. "No time, Captain. Get them to the next waypoint." He glanced at Jenna, then at Elena. Keep each other alive. Before anyone could protest, Tom turned and sprinted back into the forest, his weapon raised. The shadows swallowed him whole. Elena's chest tightened as they pressed forward, the echoes of Tom's final stand ringing in her ears. The hive's hum lingered, a constant reminder that their fight had only just begun.
The horror doesn't end on this page. Subscribe to turn the next terrifying chapter